Hello, everyone, and welcome in. My name's Rick Farron, and I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm glad you're joining us tonight for JW World News. What a lot of stories we have to cover tonight, but the biggest story, as you guys know, that video that's been removed. Well, we have it here. We're going to play it for you so you'll see exactly what went on at the convention, the first convention. The first week they held the convention, they had a video that was up and they took it down. But anyways, we're going to play that for you a little bit. But thank you for coming in. I'm glad you're with us. It's Memorial Night. I want to thank you for coming in, taking time out of your Memorial Day weekend to be in here with us. And I appreciate that. And I want to thank all those people, especially Dick Borgie and others out there on Memorial Day for serving the country. I want to say I appreciate, if you're a veteran listening in, thank you for your service to this country. Now, we could never say that as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, could we? And never could we. But we can say it as ex-witnesses because we appreciate the country we live in, and we appreciate being part of the great country of America, the USA. So happy Memorial Day, everyone. So, what are you guys thinking? I mean, what's on your mind tonight? I can tell you what's on my mind. I am so happy to see the Watchtower collapsing right in front of our face. It is happening as we speak. They are in panic mode. There's no question about it. The Jehovah's Witness organization is in deep doo-doo. The ex-Jehovah's Witness world, now the ex-Jehovah's Witness community, that's a community that I am in. And I'm in good company with ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, they call us apostates. But the apostate community is growing big time. Did you know that? Did you know it's growing big time? Yes, it is. Now, do you get on Reddit and JWN and some of these various forums? Well, let me tell you something. I've been noticing it right here at the Six Grains. Our little niche network here is growing exponentially. It always wasn't this way. No, it wasn't. When I started this 17 years ago, I didn't even know if people were listening into the program, but now they are. And they're listening in large numbers. We're getting thousands of people that are listening to our program. And it just amazes me. And what that is showing me is that the people are leaving the Watchtower big time. Now, just to give you an idea, Reddit. You say, well, Rick, what is Reddit? Well, it's a forum online, and they have a topic, or at least a thread, you could say, that deals with the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and they post on there. And this particular one is ex-Jehovah's Witnesses on Reddit. And I've been on there for many, many years. I got on when there's only about 6,000 members, and now they're pushing like 86,000 or something like that. Yeah, 86,000 plus. But just to give you an idea, I just want to bring you up to speed because this is remarkable. Just in the last week, friends, something is really ticking witnesses off. They are leaving like they've never left before. It's like a mass exodus. Now, just to give you an idea on Reddit, on May 21st, that was May 21st, just a few days ago, there was 86,220 members on Reddit that were ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, on May 26th, well, that's just a week later, right? On May 26th, which would have been yesterday, there were 86,480. So we had a lot more. Was it 200? Let me just run the numbers here. Let's run the numbers and see exactly. 258 more people just on that one forum who got in and wanted to post and read things that were going on in the Watchtower. Now, that would be, let's just break it down so you can get a little you can wrap your head around it at least. That would be 3 congregations of 86 publishers in less than 1 week. That is crazy growth. But we're also experiencing the same thing here at the 6 screens. My goodness, we are seeing so many new people calling in. We had some new people calling in earlier. We'll probably have some more new ones calling in tonight. This hasn't always been the way it was. But now the people are leaving the Watchtower. They're saying, that's it. I've had enough. I want to know more about this silly organization that I rested my hat on for the last however many years. Yeah, this religion, friends, is falling apart. And it's blind faith. That's the only reason why people are still members of this religion. It's blind faith. They can't see through it. And right now, the Jehovah's Witness organization is worried to the highest order. They are in panic mode. They're trying to keep active Jehovah's Witnesses clueless. How do you keep Jehovah's Witnesses clueless? Well, they've been doing it for years. They did it when I was in there. They did it when you were in there. We were clueless, right, to what was going on in the outside world. It's like a parallel world that we were in when we were in the Watchtower. It's like we didn't really see the real world. We only acknowledged the world of the Watchtower. So they have to keep the Jehovah's Witness clueless. And if most Jehovah's Witnesses, if they weren't so doggone terrified of doing research, they're scared to death to even look something up on the internet about their religion. If most of the Jehovah's Witness members weren't so terrified, this whole clown show would be over. The organization is dying. Friends, it's on life support. That's where the organization is right now. I can tell you without any question of a doubt, that is exactly what's going on in the Watchtower right now. This is the age of widespread information. Yes, a lot of information on the internet, and this information is killing the Watchtower. Chewy, did you want to say something? You're on with us.
Yeah, I drove by my wife's Kingdom Hall last Sunday, and I did that about once a month. I did it about a month ago. There was about 35 cars out there, maybe 30. I drove by there this Sunday, and one of them was visiting because she told me there was an elder that showed up. They had 20 cars out there, out front, 20 cars. Before COVID, it was 55, 60, 65. They're down to 20 cars now, and one of them was a visitor. Now, let's put some numbers with that. What do you say, 35 at the most at the Kingdom Hall? How many times do you have to comment, to make it, to get all the comments in? I mean, people having to comment 2 or 3 times in a Watchtower just to keep it lively. I can just imagine they're looking at one another. Who's going to comment next? Who's going to comment next? Who's going to run the microphones? I mean, it has got to be depressing to go into something like that, And those numbers you did on Reddit, when you think about it, was it like 258 or whatever for like on a 3-day spin or a 3-day time from the 23rd to the 26th is what you said? That's a congregation a day. When you look at it like that, it's a congregation a day. 86 publishers a day are joining Reddit, a whole congregation. That's amazing. Anyway, that's all I got.
Well, that's only on Reddit. I mean, there's other forums as well. And the boy, I'll tell you, the Watchtower's got to really, as I say, be in panic mode. And the organization's biggest enemy. Well, I want you to stop. I want everyone just to stop and think about this for 1 second. The organization's biggest enemy right now, and it's going to make them powerless, and it's very hard to stop it. It's time. The Watchtower's biggest enemy is time. Time is running out for them. They've had too many failed prophecy. the organization has been saying for centuries now that Armageddon is right around the corner. Well, that's what they've been saying. Armageddon's right around the corner. Now, you think the younger generations, the Jehovah's Witness younger generations who saw the aftermath of everything the older generations of Jehovah's Witnesses went through, don't you think our younger children are, Gen Zers, the millennials, don't you think that they see how wrong their parents in the organization was? Well, think about it. They saw the miserable lifestyle of their parents, and they don't want the same. They don't want to buy into it for 1 second. They witnessed their grandparents and their great grandparents and grandparents who never even thought that they would grow old or even die in this system of things. They witnessed their grandparents who talked about, we're never going to die. Well, they're dead. I got news for you. They're dead. So they really believed they wouldn't die and they were going to walk right into the new world. Time struck again. Yeah, the younger generations have witnessed the collapse of the 1914 generation teaching, a teaching their parents, grandparents believed 100% until too much time went by and everyone from 1914 died. Think about it. Geez, this Watchtower, they are fighting battles from all angles. Yeah, so the younger generation. Yes, Susan.
I was thinking too, when we just watched this video of the sister that didn't want to talk to her mother, and of course they did away with the video. But if you think about it, even that video, there weren't a lot of people sitting in that Kingdom Hall during the meeting. They can't even lie anymore about meeting attendance. Years ago, there wasn't a seat left. Now you can barely fill the seats. So they're just dying on the vine. And when you see the Kingdom Hall or the symbol of JW.org, how do you feel? Do you feel proud or do you feel browbeaten? Do you feel safe or confused? Being shunned is like being dead. So how do a lot of people feel when they see the Kingdom Hall or the symbol JW.org? They don't feel good at all.
Well, I'm so glad. I'm glad, Susan, you brought that up, because what Susan's referring to is we have we're going to get into that part of the news, but there was at the convention, we've been talking about it on the earlier show as well. The first convention they had was 2 weeks ago, and they had 2 videos concerning shunning. They took them down. They're not being played at the conventions now. They took them down. But Susan saw the video. I have them here. You're going to see it too. Our audience is going to see them later in the news. But what Susan noticed when I showed them to her, the videos, now this is a staged arrangement. This isn't actual Kingdom Halls, but it's showing nobody sitting in the Kingdom Halls. And that was really fascinating to me. I'm wondering, well, why? I mean, this is a movie. This is a video. It's rehearsed. I'm saying, why would they have such little amount of people in the Kingdom Hall? Because that's exactly what it's like today. And they're trying to put forth a message that, stay with Jehovah. Everybody else is leaving. We have to shun these people. Well, we'll get into the video. I think you'll really find it. Thank you, Susan. Thank you for bringing that up. So yeah, the younger generation, they have seen their parents, their grandparents, and even their great-grandparents donate every possible penny they could to this lying, cheating, fraudulent organization. Many even went to where the need was greater. They sold their possessions and they went to work for the Watchtower. Then they even sacrificed, many of these witnesses even sacrificed having children. Their whole life has been ruined, and they got really old, and none of this ever happened. The new world's not here. Don't you think the younger generation would just look at this? Of course they are. That's why they're leaving like you can't believe. And it's so disgusting to me that some of these poor old sick Jehovah's Witnesses who put all of their life's effort, time, resources into the organization have now been basically forgotten. Yeah, they're cast aside, and the organization is trying to still squeeze more out of them before they completely die, trying to get their house, their jewelry, anything they can. So the younger generation saw all of this. They saw all of this that their grandparents and mother and father went through, and they are saying, no, nope, we don't want to be Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's why there's so many people fleeing. They saw what decades invested in the organization was all about: false promises. They're cast aside, they're now forgotten. Time is severely killing them every year. So, friends, that is what's going on. That's why we're seeing the Watchtower tanking. So, I'm in the boomer generation. Are you in the boomer generation? I know a lot of people that listen to our program are. So, anyways, the boomer generation, well, they're dying off. They really are. And when that happens, the Watchtower will basically collapse on itself. Yeah, we're the last. I'm out of the Watchtower like you guys too. But when you go to a Kingdom Hall, I was getting information coming into the 6 screens on the convention this summer, and I have to tell you that exercising patient convention is not going over that well lately. From the information I'm getting in here, in fact, what people are saying, there's no young people there. And I know a few years back, well, actually it was more than that, it's probably about 8 years now, that I actually went to a regional convention to protest. My wife, Susan, and some others, we went to the regional convention out here at the McMullen Center in Massachusetts. And we didn't see many young people at all. I mean, little young kids, yeah, little kids, but not teenage kids. So this is it. Stick a fork in the Watchtower, take them off the grill. I don't know where they're going to go. And the annual report, when they come out with the annual report, like they did for last September, that's when their fiscal year closes, we know darn well that it's doctored, and it's certainly, they underrepresent the decline. Yeah, they don't want to really tell people the real decline. Why would you? You don't want to tell people your organization's dying. But, am I making this up? You guys think I'm sitting here with rose-colored glasses on? I'm not. Look at the number. Look at the number of the Kingdom Hall sold and congregations that have merged and disassociated ones, and the poor attendance and almost no door-to-door witnessing work being done. Need I say more? I mean, what else do you want me to say? In the past years, since 2015, they've been in a bust. They have been losing people like crazy. And the amount of money they've paid out in out-of-court settlements would just stagger the imagination. Now, we're hearing, from time to time, we bring it up here on the 6 screens, and we're hearing of, some of these lawsuits that have made it into the court systems. But how many settlements are being made outside of court? Do you want to take a guess? Well, it's only a guess because I don't even have the answer to that. No, nobody does. But I imagine every day there are people traveling up to Warwick, New York. I'm sure they're putting the kids in the SUV, and they're traveling from certain parts of the country, and they're going up to the Watchtower headquarters to pick up a check. That's what I'm thinking. So they pull up there and they go to the main gate and they say, look, I want to talk to somebody. My children here in the back seat, they've all been abused. I want to talk to somebody about it. So somebody comes out and they go and talk to some official with the Watchtower. So they leave there with maybe 250,000, 500,000. How much of that is going on? Do you think I'm just blowing wind here? I'm telling you, it's going on a daily basis. The Watchtower is bleeding. They are hemorrhaging. Really, the amount of money that they've been paying out, as I said earlier, would stagger your imagination. And don't you think that the world headquarters isn't frustrated over this? Oh boy, here comes another car. Here comes another one. They're going to want money, and the Watchtower is going to give them money. So that is what's going on. And it's so refreshing. Aren't you glad? I'm glad. I really, really am. This organization has hurt so many people. I don't have a soft spot from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet for the Watchtower organization. It's despicable. It's disgusting. Okay. Any thoughts on that? I mean, that was my little rant and rave. I had to get that out because I got to think. Yes, go ahead. You're on with us.
Yes, this is Thomas Hart from Lawrence, Kansas here this evening.
Yes.
You know, I just, we don't hear anything about this media center anymore. I just kind of wonder if the Watchtower is kind of slowly getting away from that idea. Now, I don't know if they'll eventually build it. I just don't think they will, but time will tell. I just wonder if they're getting hammered enough with lawsuits and what have you, they just are just going to quietly get away from that idea, and they're just going to bleed the people more money until they finally tell them. What would you think?
Well, a month ago I called the town of Ramapo up in New York, and I talked to I believe it was a lawyer, to a young woman. Maybe she was a paralegal. I'm not sure. And then I talked to someone in the building department. And in the building department, I asked them what activity was taking place with the, mega media center. That mega media center that's built on 242 acres of land. It's running hundreds of millions of dollars to build this. So I asked the building department if the building work is going forward. And she said, well, right now there's a little halt on it. Then I haven't heard anything since. No one's talked about it. So I'm inclined to think, but don't take it to the bank and cash it because I don't know. But I'm beginning to smell a rat. It's not passing the smell test. I think it was a way for them to generate money. They're trying to pay these lawsuits off. I think it's like a scam. But I don't know for sure, so don't say Rick said this, but I'm thinking out loud because isn't that what Tammy Baker and her husband did? Remember what they did? They were going to build this big amusement park in North Carolina. They started selling condos and people were making payments on it. Then they went out of business and took all the money. Is the Watchtower doing the same thing? Well, history kind of repeats itself. I think that's what's going on. I really do. And not only that, I'm glad you brought it up, Thomas. But I'm thinking with this organization tanking, with so many young people leaving, with people just getting disgusted with this organization, why would you get involved in a multi-$100 million project? Doesn't the Watchtower, didn't they always say to us, calculate and count the cost before you do something? Oh, the Watchtower's not doing that. Thomas, I think it's all over. I do. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you very much. Well, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. The 718 want to say something? Go ahead. You're on with us.
Yeah. Hey, Rick, I just read, I imagine you get the Google alerts for Jehovah's Witnesses like I do, but I just read this week that the Brooklyn Heights, some of the property there was sold to be a movie production, a studio, a movie production site. Did you read anything about that?
I didn't. A little bit came across. It didn't capture my interest. It was talking about Jared Kushner. Was he in that article? He of course is President Trump's.
The things, because I know I do get the alerts for Jehovah's Witnesses, and I know this past week I got like the Brooklyn Heights, some, not all, but some of the Brooklyn Heights property is going to be made into a movie/production site. Now, I don't know. I'm assuming it's for other worldly things, and I don't think it's a JW connection thing, but, I just read that this week for a movie, like a production site, movie production site.
Well, that's it's like coincidental, right? I mean, it could be a It could be something going on there that we're not aware of, Shirley. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I didn't see that, but that struck my interest.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely got that because I assume you do get the Google alerts like I do, right?
Oh
Right?
yeah, I do.
You
Yeah,
get that?
yeah, I do get them,
Yeah,
but I didn't see that. I
yeah,
didn't see it. Yeah. Well, good for you. Well, thank you
yeah,
very much. Thank you for letting us know that. That seems like that's a little fishy to me. A little fishy, but we'll have to
yeah,
see. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, that's our good caller. That's Shirley. That's Shirley. That's who that is. All right, so let's take a look and see what else is going on behind the curtains. Uh, if you guys have been on the internet, which Shirley was on there, she's just telling us that. If you've been on the internet this week, you couldn't miss. There was so many articles posted about the mysterious. Okay, we do have. Before we get into that, do we have 310? Did you want to say something? 310. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rick, this is Dr. Richmond from California. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, here you go. Yep.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. I have a great experience yesterday. Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on my door at 11 o'clock in the morning here in California. Oh my goodness, I was still sitting here. I have one of these metal doors, so it makes a loud noise. But I'm going to go outside right now, bang on the door, and you can hear it. So you can hear this loud noise, right?
Oh yeah.
So instead of knocking on the wood, they're banging on the door. So then I'm like, oh my God, I kind of know who it is. And who else is going to be? If it's the police, they'd say, police, open the door. But, I know, I kind of knew who it was. So I got up and I'm getting up, and meanwhile, they're banging again on the door. I finally go over, look out the window, because I don't open the door without looking out another window. And I see who it is. And I go to the door and I say, oh, hi, we're presenting this invitation to a convention. This is the, have patience convention. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to need patience to listen to their spiel. So anyways, they go on a little bit, and I say, well, what religion? There's a plane going over my head now as I'm right near the LAX airport. And so anyways, I said, oh, what religion? Oh, we're Jehovah's Witnesses. I said, oh, I said, I want to ask you. I said, now, I was going back to the teaching of the superior authorities, and I said, now, what's your understanding of the superior authorities teaching? Who are the superior authorities? They said, oh, the governments of the world. I said, right. I said, now, the first president of the Watchtower, which we know really wasn't Russell, it was somebody else, but they think it is Russell. So I said, well, the first president of the Watchtower, Charles Todd Russell, he taught that the superior authorities were the governments of the world. I said, but then Rutherford in 1930 said, Russell's all wrong. The superior authorities are Jehovah and Jesus. So then he said, oh, yeah, well, we got new light. And I said, no, that wasn't new light, because in 1960, they came out with, in the Watchtower, they said they went back to the old light. They went back to the teaching of the superior authorities are the governments of the world. So they went from a true teaching that Russell had to a false teaching. And I said, God, Jehovah God is the God of truth. So why would he mislead? Why would he lead Russell to a false conclusion? And anyway, so then I asked, I forgot exactly how the flow of the conversation went, but I asked him too. I said, back in Russell's time, I said, you get your food from the faithful and discreet slave. Yeah. I said, well, back in Russell's time, I said, who was the slave? Who was the faithful and discreet slave? And these two ladies both looked at each other, and they said, we don't know. I said, Russell was. The food came through Russell. And then I said, in Rutherford's time, who was the faithful and discreet slave? And they looked at each other and they said, we don't know. I said, Rutherford. I said, the food came through Rutherford. And I said, in modern times, who was the faithful and discreet slave? And they didn't know. I said, what's the governing body? So anyways, I said, so why would Jehovah, give, Russell the proper, interpretation, but then lead Rutherford to a false conclusion when he's the God of truth, only to say, oh, we're going back to the old light. So I said, forget about this new light. It sounds like somebody's playing with the light switch over there and needing light bulbs or something. So anyways, right at that point, the lady looks at me and she says, are you videotaping us? Well, you can't do that. I said, look, you're on my property. I can do anything I want. And she says to the other girl, come on, let's get out of here. And they hustled up the driveway with those skirts swinging back and forth as fast as they could, you know. So then I thought, I'm going to, you know, put my phone away. I'm going to go out and find them because I want to finish this conversation. So I go out there and I couldn't find them. They disappeared. The angels were protecting them. Yeah, right. So anyways, I come back, and a few minutes later, I got my car to drive around to find them. And I found them. And then as soon as they saw me, I pulled over and I got out of the car, and they started walking the opposite way then towards another group that was walking down the street, some elder and stuff. And I thought, you know, I don't want to get in this big thing over there. So I just went down my driveway and parked. But, you know, the whole thing is they're really not that smart. I mean, they don't know who the faithful and the free slave was in Russell's time or Rutherford's time. And then when you try to use logic, in fact, that's the one key point from this that people can get is use this logical thinking that, hey, look, Russell said the superior authorities were the governments of the world. Rutherford in 1930, and I have the list of publications, so I got it from the, what's this? JW, it's like one of these, JW Facts, yeah, JWFacts.com. You go on JW Facts, I think you click on superior authorities, and they got a little chart of these three separate things with the actual publications. And I had that with me. So, you know, you can point out to them that logically that, hey, look, why would the God of truth, Jehovah God, lead Rutherford to a false conclusion that's taught for 30 years and only to lead them back?
All right. Well, we got it. We got it. I mean, what it is flip-flopping. And the Watchtower does that a lot, Dr. Richmond. They flip-flop back and forth. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that experience with us. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yep. Appreciate you. Appreciate you coming on. Yeah, thank you. All right, that's Dr. Richmond. We always appreciate him calling in and talking to us. But anyways, I mean, the biggest thing this week, if you guys were watching the internet and searching the internet, I mean, this video, the pro-shunning videos were mysteriously deleted from the convention. That's right. They were mysteriously deleted. The conventions opened 2 weeks ago. The Exercising Patience conventions. In fact, the first one was in Newburgh, New York, 2 weeks ago at the convention center up there. And it opened up and they played the videos there. And then the next week, they didn't play the videos. And this weekend, they're not playing the videos. But why did the Watchtower mysteriously delete the shunning videos? Well, these two videos that were shown to Jehovah's Witnesses during the convention, let me put it this way to you. They have apparently been scrubbed from the streaming versions of the event. They took it out. They're no longer there. And but we have them here. Now, listen, if any of you folks out there listening to this broadcast would like to have it, I did download them before they got deleted. So if you would like to have a copy of the videos, you write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. I'll send you a copy so you can have them. You can show them to your relatives and let them see what they think. So I'm kind of sorry that the Jehovah's Witnesses pulled these videos. I was thinking it really shows them for what they truly are. I wish they would have kept them up. These videos may have caused some of the sheep to wake up, though. I'm thinking that. I'm thinking that, you know, some of the people that were there at the convention and saw those videos, it caused them to wake up and leave this bad organization. But I suppose by maybe taking them down, it might be a blessing in disguise because, you know, it's like curiosity killed the cat. And many witnesses, even right now, are asking, why'd they take the videos down? Why'd they take them down? And nobody's giving them an answer. So the harder that the Jehovah's Witness cult pushes and becomes more toxic, and these videos were toxic, see, the more eyes that are opened among the decent Jehovah's Witness folks and even people that are trying to connect with the witnesses are going to leave them, which they're doing right now. Now, the videos in question are about a young Jehovah's Witness woman. Her name is Elsa. And Elsa receives phone calls from her mother, who is depicted as a former Jehovah's Witness. That would mean that fictitious mother has been disfellowshipped. So, right, the mother's disfellowshipped. So Elsa is not wanting to talk to her mother. She's being shunned. And her family is no longer allowed to communicate with her. So Elsa doesn't want anything to do with her mother. This is a convention video that's taken down. Elsa has to figure out whether to talk to her mother or avoid her indefinitely. Now, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure put on one of Jehovah's Witnesses. You only have one mother. And this is the first time ever that I recall, and I've been associated with the Watchtower for many years as an ex-witness as well as an card-carrying witness. And I have to tell you, I've never heard where they outright came out and said to disfellowship your mother or your father. I've never heard that. You know, sisters, brothers, cousins, friends, but never your mother and father. So the first video that I'm going to show you here, you're going to see it. We're going to play it for you here on the 6 screens tonight. So the first video takes place in Elsa's kitchen table. Elsa's table, and her phone rings, and we hear what her thoughts are. So let me get the video up. I want you to hear it. I tried to put on the 6 screens video suite, folks, but it won't go up there. So sorry about it. But you can hear it. So I'm going to put the video up right now so you guys can see it. If you're on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, let me get the video up here right now. All right, this is okay. So this is Elsa. And notice what happens here in this shunning video. Let's play it right now so you can see it.
Mom's disfellowshipping still feels so raw.
Elsa, please speak up. I miss you so much. I just want to hear your voice.
It's such a struggle. I miss her. She taught me the truth, gave me a stable life. She was my closest friend. What's the harm in just calling once in a while? To chat. Maybe I can even help her to come back to Jehovah.
Tears to your eyes. It really, really could. Poor Elsa. Now you look at the pressure that the Jehovah's Witnesses are actually putting on people. Elsa, who's the fictional character in this video. Now, it shows Elsa sitting at the table. Her mother rings on the telephone, and she's not answering it. And the mother is saying in her recorded voice, I guess, please call, please come back, and please talk to me. I really need your help. I mean, how can you do this to your mother? This is terrible. And then Elsa is flipping through the phone pictures of her and her mother when she was younger. Isn't this a strain that the Watchtower is putting on this young woman? I mean, obviously it's bad for Elsa, but it's worse even for her mother who's being shunned. But now there's a second part here. I got to play the second part of this video and see what you think of this. But this is just terrible. And we're going to get into my theories on why they removed this. So let's play the second part of this now.
Abel was essentially a spiritual orphan, but regardless of what his parents chose, he listened to Jehovah and patiently waited on him to fulfill his promises.
I never thought of it that way. What has Jehovah promised me if I patiently wait? spiritual brothers, sisters, and mothers. If I focus on what I do have and wait patiently, someday what I don't have may even come back to Jehovah.
That is heinous, evil, wicked, criminal, terrible. Here we have a young woman that is shunning her mother. Her mother's calling her again in the video. And did you notice right there in the beginning, too, the brother was speaking at the Kingdom Hall, and he was saying how, you have to be like Abel. And didn't the witnesses always say that Abel was the first Jehovah's Witnesses? So this is just terrible. This video, these two videos was shown during a portion of the 2023 regional conventions called Better Be Patient Than Be Haughty in Spirit. And this segment was one that was urging members to imitate Abel, not Adam. I'll tell you what, my blood pressure raises when I see this. That there's so many things in this video that you could tear apart. And one of the things I wanted to tear apart was the very fact that they showed Elsa. She was sitting at the table after her mother called, and she's shunning her. And maybe she felt a little bad about it, but she got the Bible out, and she was going through the Bible, reading scriptures, evidently, that would support her position. There is no position in the Bible that would support her position. It's a very cruel practice. You cannot justify it. And so in the video, they're showing that Elsa's sitting there and trying to justify scriptures. Well, I wonder if she got into the book of Exodus. I wonder if she got into the book of Exodus and started reading about the 10 commandments. I wonder if she read about the 5th commandment, which is honor your mother and father. I wonder if she read that. Or I wonder if she read some other scriptures concerning, even in the New Testament, in the book of Mark and the book of Ephesians, it talks about honoring your mother and father. And, even that 5th commandment, if she did her homework here, and the Jehovah's Witnesses don't like to really even discuss this, and I think that's something that they should be highly embarrassed about, telling someone to shun their mother or their father. So the 5th commandment is honor your mother and father. They're a religious organization. They use scriptures. Honor your mother and father. And the days will...
What if they're murderers?
What's that?
What if they're murdering people? So I've been studying for about 2 years. The people I study with are very nice. I study up here in Warwick. They're very nice people. I never had a problem with them, but I do see this happening. And I don't think any of them are happy about it. I think that most people hate it. But again, how do we know how bad? Why did this person get disfellowshipped? What were they doing? The one other question I have for you is, do you love God more than you love your parents?
I love God, and I love my parents. Now, do I love God more? Well, we have two different factions hitting each other here. You have to love your parents. I mean, the Bible, why would God even say to love your parents and honor them no matter what? You brought up the...
You have to respect them.
Yeah, but you brought up the fact that even if they were murderers, if your mother and father were murderers, would you never talk to them?
Well, it depends what they did. I mean, if my parents were child molesters and they molested me my whole entire life, yeah, maybe I wouldn't talk to them. Maybe that would be a good idea to stay away from them. I understand what you're saying, sir, but these people that I've been studying with, I'm not saying that I'm not baptized or anything like that, but the one thing that I've noticed is that they walk a very fine line on trying to keep their way of life the way it is, and for somebody to come in and start influencing people maybe to drink, smoke cigarettes. I smoke, I drink. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells when I'm around them. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't know why this woman Elsa was taken out of the picture. I don't get it. But we don't know. Was she molesting that girl? I don't know.
No. The Watchtower, and thank you. What was your name again? I'm sorry.
My name's David. David Boldo.
Well,
I play Leather King online on YouTube.
Well, thank
Leather
you.
King.
Well, thank you, David. I really appreciate you coming in here and talking with us tonight. Well, the
I
video.
appreciate it. Thank you for giving me your time and everything like that. You've been very nice.
Ye-
And I'll listen to the answer.
Well, no, I want to. Well, stay on here with me. If I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so the thing is though, it's you've kind of known the witnesses now for a few years, have you?
Yeah, I mean, I've studied with them. Yeah.
So,
I've seen what happens. Yeah.
do you look at them as a cult or as a legitimate religion?
So, I don't know what you were raised. I was raised Catholic, and I'm going to tell you something right now. The first time in my life where I actually started understanding, none of this stuff makes sense because it seems like it was taught to me the wrong way. I grew up with someone who was a Jehovah's Witness, and I remember hearing this all the time, and it kind of made sense, And I went to a couple studies at the Kingdom Hall, and then they started coming to my house, and I don't think they're a cult as much as any other religion or any less. I mean, they never asked me for a penny. They've never asked, I offered to do work for them because this was 2 years. I never gave them money. And they refused it. They said, no, we'd rather the brothers and sisters help out over here, but thank you very much. I don't see them. I was at Bethel, okay? I was at Bethel, and I saw how they lived, and that's kind of cultish, yeah. But there are nunneries around my house. They do the same thing there. So I don't think they're any more or any less.
Yeah, well, no, that's the.
Can I speak up?
Well, who's this? Wants to speak up?
Dr. Richmond, can I speak up for a quick moment? If
Well,
you wouldn't mind, or?
Take a minute. Take a minute only, okay?
Yeah, just real quick. Yeah, well, it's not like the nuns. The nuns don't shun each other. They're not saying they're not saying hang out with each other and go for beer or something. But the witnesses use the scripture in 2 John 1:10. If anyone does not bring this teaching, do not receive him into the house or say a greeting. Well, what is this teaching? And if you look at the history, back then there were false itinerant teachers are going around teaching wrong things, saying Christ didn't die in the flesh. So that was this teaching. And if anyone didn't bring that teaching, don't even say hello to them. But that's not what witnesses are doing today. They're not, they're not going around teaching, well, Jesus didn't die in the flesh. So there's no reason not to say hello, welcome to the Kingdom Hall, or something like that. But they won't even say hello. They'll shun their family members and they'll lose everybody. The nuns don't do that. There's no other religion that I know of that will shun people and cut them off. Friends 30, 40 years, just because they disagree.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I need you to hear this. I really need you to hear this because I was raised Catholic. My parents were getting a divorce during the time I was getting my confirmation or communion. I forgot what it was. And they escorted my mother out of the church because she was getting a divorce. So I've seen it. I've seen it in the Catholic Church too.
Dr. Richmond, hang in here. Well, listen, let me comment.
They escorted her out of the church. Yeah.
All right, we'll open the lines for everybody else. I'm in a conversation with this man, so everyone just wait your time. I'll have you come in. You can talk to David. Let me talk to him, okay? So, anyways, David. So, do you understand what happens when people get shunned?
Yeah, so I never lived it, but I saw it at the Kingdom Hall. I saw a family member come in, and people kind of nodded to them, and it was really weird. It was kind of cold, and I saw it, and I didn't feel comfortable seeing that 100%. It reminded me of the time when they removed my mother from the church, but I've seen it before, you know.
Right. Now, I just wanted to say, and in a nice, calm way, Dave, and I appreciate you calling in here tonight. And I don't want all these people coming in to, if you're going to come in and talk to David, talk to him respectfully. Don't beat him up, okay? The man.
Oh, no, everyone's been respectful. You know what? Maybe I had 2 drinks, okay? Maybe I shouldn't be. But I find this very interesting, and I won't take offense to anything, I promise.
All right, good. Well, David, I appreciate you calling in. But the question or the thought that I would bring up here is I was a former Jehovah's Witness. Actually, even at one time I was actually brought down to the Watchtower headquarters in New York for a possible position on the governing body. So I got to really know what the Watchtower is inside and out. And, you might not see them as a cult, but by definition, I would do that, but you don't have to. You can just look at them as kind of strange sometimes. But the point I wanted to make is I have so many friends, and I've been doing this program for 17 years. There are hundreds, perhaps thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses that have committed, former Jehovah's Witnesses who have been shunned, who have committed suicide because of that. And they're, hiding pedophilia. I know the other churches do too, but, they've changed their doctrines, and, you could go on and on and on, but I'm not picking on the individual witnesses like you. They're good people. Most of them are really nice and they're kind, but it's the officials. It's the people who run it, the Watchtower organization itself, that I have a bone to pick with. Now, can we open the lines and can we have some people come and talk to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Can I respond to that though?
Because, go ahead. Yeah.
I believe that they're somewhat flawed. They have to be. They're human beings, and when you bring up like hiding pedophilia, just the churches. Not only churches do that, but organizations other than religious organizations, the Boy Scouts of America, stuff like that. I mean, this stuff is happening all throughout the world. It's happening everywhere. It's happening in our schools. It's happening in our libraries. People stay away from people. It's a normal thing. But I understand if my father, okay, or my mother was a drug addict, okay, and maybe they needed me to help them out. I don't think I could do that. It's not that I don't love them. It's just that I'm not getting involved in that life. I don't want that life. I kind of understand that. Not everybody's parents are nice. I love my parents. I'm very lucky to have parents that are not even the witnesses. I'm not a witness, but I love them very much. I just, again, if they were poison to me, I would have to stay away from them. And I don't think that these people are that crazy. I see it even with my Jewish friends, the rabbinicals.
Well, David, the thing
like a common practice.
The thing is, I'd bring up too now. If a person, in this particular case, we were talking about this video that was removed from the convention, and Elsa was the woman's name. She's fictitious, of course, but her mother was disfellowship. Now, it didn't say for what, but you could be disfellowship for, it doesn't have to be an act of murder or child sex abuse. It could be for, smoking a cigarette, or it could be for not believing in one of their doctrines. And you could be thrown out and people have nothing to do with you. So, these are not, for the most part, serious sins that these ones are taking. But at the same time, I've had people call into the program since I've been doing in 17 years. I've had a dozen people tell me they were going to take their own life because of the shunning policies of the Watchtower. So I'd be very.
People have done it. People have done it for way less.
Oh yeah, well I'd be very.
I live up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some kid got recorded kissing a boy or something. He jumped off the George Washington Bridge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's bring some people on that would like to say hello to you.
Yeah. Could I say something real quick about the disfellowshipping? I think part of the problem is the committee meetings and the formal announcement, and how they just can turn on you at the snap of the finger. You know, I think normally groups of 100, 120 people, they know how to shun somebody. You don't need a committee meeting and a formal announcement. You know, this guy's getting weird. We're not going to hang out with him. You know, I think that they know how to do. People know how to do that. But I
don't know if this is rude or not. But are all you guys? Were you once Jehovah's Witnesses and they told you not to come back, or?
I was a Jehovah's Witness, and when I got disfellowshipped, I didn't want to hang out with those people anyway.
Okay, so you were disfellowshipped. All right, no, so
oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm not.
But it didn't bother me. I mean, I didn't care. I didn't have anything to talk to those people about anymore anyway.
I'd like to bring up a point about Rick that brought up about people being disfellowshipped for smoking. It's Dr. Richmond here. There was a sister in our congregation that she killed herself. She blew her brains out with a gun because she couldn't give up smoking. So she was eventually disfellowshipped, couldn't talk to her granddaughter, her grandkids, because when you're disfellowshipped, you are completely shunned. People can't even say hello to you. So because this woman had an addiction to cigarettes and couldn't stop smoking, people shunned her, wouldn't talk to her friends that she had, lifelong friends, granddaughters and family members wouldn't even say hello to her. And she couldn't take it anymore, and she blew her brains out. And this is just one example. This sister in our congregation, the wife of an elder, hung herself. Her son was disfellowshipped. She couldn't even say hello to her son. So I understand this gentleman's point about, hey, not hanging out with people that may be killing other people or something like that. Of course you're not going to do that. But, you know, somebody gets and the thing is, when someone's disfellowshipped, you don't even know what it's for. But, you know, we're not going to hang out with murderers and stuff like that. But at least you can say to somebody, you know, oh, come back to the Kingdom Hall or come back to Jehovah. You can't even say that. Come back to Jehovah, or you can't even say hello. If you're walking down the supermarket aisle and they're going the other way, you got people turn right around and won't even say hello. So the shunning policy is evil, it's wicked, it's unscriptural, and Jesus Christ would never shun anyone. And that's my 2 cents.
Okay, we got so many callers want to come in.
The devil. They tell the devil to get away from him.
David, go ahead. Then we're going to bring some other people in here. David, what was that?
I thought that Jesus Christ shunned the devil. He told the devil to get away from him.
Well, he shunned the devil, right? He shunned the devil. But okay, here's some more people. No, David, I want to first of all tell you I thank you. I mean, for coming on here, because it's not an easy forum for you to come into. But I thank you for doing that. Okay, so
thank you.
We've got let's go with 727. 727, you're on with us.
Hey, Rick, this is Elaine. I have a YouTube channel, JW Escape. I just wanted to reiterate, I've been listening. For instance, my situation, I've been shunned for 35 years from my family. I do not know the third and fourth generations of my immediate family simply because I no longer wanted to be a Jehovah's Witness. They don't even know why I left. They have no clue. They disfellowshipped me. They would not accept my letter of excommunication. So they disfellowshipped me, and nobody knows why, and that's been 35 years. I just wanted to share that because, you know, the video that was taken down, the daughter most likely doesn't even know why the mother is being shunned. And that's the sad part. So anyway, thank you so much for all that you do. I just wanted to share that.
Well, thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Elaine. What's your comment on that, David?
So I'd like to know, was Elaine suicidal? Why didn't Elaine kill herself? This is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think Elaine is mentally ill. I think that woman was mentally ill, the one who killed herself. I think it just took a little bit. It took something for her to do that. I'm not saying what they did was right, but again, I'm not going to blame the witnesses for that. And, you know, the other thing is, I mean, as a Christian, I consider myself a Christian, or I want to be a Christian. I wouldn't do that because God wouldn't want me to.
Can I come in here? From England, this is Hazel. Normally under the channel name JW Suicides. Very unfriendly username, I know. And I do want to talk about the subject.
Go ahead. You're all right. Go ahead. Suicides. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I started my channel with a particular topic because of witnessing my my ex be very suicidal and then kill himself as an EXJW. Now, he loved the organization so much. He'd been a Bethelite in New York. He'd given up his life. He'd served with the Need Was Greatest later. He'd done a lot, and he still believed it was the truth. And before I knew him, he'd got into stuff. He'd been a bit naughty. Nothing that would put you in prison or get you in trouble with the police, but he'd done stuff and he got thrown out. Before I knew him, he tried to kill himself many times, very badly, and he'd actually made medical history by staying alive through that. He was trying desperately to get back in. I mean, he loved them so much, and they wouldn't let him back in. They insisted he sat at the back of the hall for months and months with no guarantee. And eventually, yeah, he did kill himself. And when you're suicidal, and you don't have to be particularly mentally ill to be suicidal, circumstances can make you suicidal, you know, and when you are in that state, what you need is love. What you need is the people around you to hold on to you. And that means physically hold your hand, hug you, tell you they love you, be there for you. And exactly at the time that people, either when they are JWs or EXJWs, when they're suffering that much, that's exactly the time that they're cast adrift. And it's like helping someone be murdered.
Well, suicides. Well, thank you for bringing that up and letting David know. I mean, David has a position that he's taking, and we respect that. I don't know if he really understands the depth of what the witness world does to people. It's very, very disturbing that so many people die. And it's not because they're mentally ill, you're right. It's because sometimes their life is so unjoyful. It takes people's hope away. They have nothing to look forward to, that they do the unthinkable. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Suicides, for coming on. Listen, I got someone that keeps saying, bring 978 in. 978. I mean, that's in my area code. If you...
Hey, Rick, it's me, Eli. I've been
who is it?
A little bit because I've been trying to call in for weeks, but
who is this?
Like it's hard to get in there.
Eli, go ahead, Eli. What's on your mind?
So hey, Rick, I'm Eli. I'm from the capital of apostates myself. I'm from Methuen, Lawrence, Massachusetts, and I'm 25 years old. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness my whole life. I was born into the truth. I have parents that two parents that are divorced. I mean that are disfellowship. My stepfather and my biological father. So I have experience. I just wanted to share my experience. It's interesting because how this little video that they did that they removed from the convention. I had a similar experience in the sense that I had an elder come meet with me because they were trying to pressure me. Around 18 years old, they're really pushing for me to get baptized, and that was probably the best decision that I made was to not get baptized, because what it would have done, and my argument to that elder was, it would have forced me to essentially not talk to my father, you know, who raised me. And he really sat there. This is a guy that I grew up with, his son, and he's an elder out of Salem, New Hampshire, Methuen, Massachusetts. And he reads me the scripture, essentially stating that Jehovah is going to, he's going to replace my father, you know. And I think that's a cute scripture, only if my father wasn't around. But the reality is my dad exists. You know, he's alive. He's there. He's available to help me, to help guide me. You know, as I'm a father now, I have a baby of my own. He's available, but he really thought that it was that I was just gonna just tell my dad to screw off essentially because he doesn't want to serve Jehovah anymore, be a witness anymore. So I think the problem is it's delusional, you know. And I think it was David to rebut him a little bit. The reality is, and why you can consider this religion a cult, and this is cult behavior when it's so sad. This woman in the video, Elsa, she's looking at her older mother is there, essentially pleading to her for her to call her. You know, like that's like, you know, in some cases, some people would call that abuse. That you don't pick up the phone for your mom for what reason? Because she decided to, I don't know, listen to the Six Screens, you know, or whatever it is. It's sick. But the idea is that the fact that Elsa has to fight with this natural thing, the lady, for crying out loud, gave birth to you. She pushed you out. The idea that you're not going to pick up the phone for her because you're going to get in trouble. The reality is the reason why witnesses don't pick up the phone and talk to the fellowship people is that they will get in trouble if they do. You know, they will get kicked out of the club if they do. And, you know, that's the problem. It's not your own choice. You know, if your parents abused you, that's your own choice to decide to cut them off, and rightfully so. But if your parents decided that they made a mistake and they fornicated, something that happens, does that mean that you just abandon, you know, you don't talk to your parents anymore? I mean, it's insane. You know, I was in a situation, and I'm so grateful that I never did that.
I got a question. I got a question for you because I know a Jehovah's Witness couple. One was Jehovah's, one wasn't. All right, they shared a child, they had a kid together, blah blah blah, and we used to go out and eat at their house all the time, and the husband would be there. Everyone would talk to the husband. The husband wasn't involved. I just don't see that happening. They would tell you not to talk to your father.
Well, I'm telling you that it did happen. I'm telling you that
But you said you never got baptized.
Yeah, I never got baptized, but the reality, David, is that if you get baptized and you make that commitment to give your life to Jehovah, this is what they tell you, that you're giving your life to Jehovah. That if you get baptized, you're signing up to that if you make a mistake or if someone else gets this fellowship, including your own family, for you to stay baptized yourself, to stay a member, you're not allowed to talk to someone and associate with someone who's disfellowship. If you do, or if you get caught doing so, you will be reprimanded for that. That's the reality, including your own parents. The video showed that. The video showed that you're not even allowed to talk to your own parent, your own mother. Imagine that, your own mother leaving you a message.
What I got from the video was this was a conscious decision that she was making based on something her mother did.
And you don't find that curious that they never specify what her mother did? I mean, what could that old lady have done?
Would it be okay? Would it be okay if her mother was molesting her? Like I said, I don't know.
Really? So you really think that she would be struggling? That she would be questioning on whether or not she should be talking to her mother who molested her? That seems like something.
Well, I mean, you just said that this gentleman that hosts the show just said that they're covering up child abuse cases.
Yes, okay, but David, let's focus on Elsa. Elsa's
a fictional character. Go ahead.
She's a fictional character, so let's go with your fictional narrative because you question that. Oh, what if she got molested? You think Elsa would be struggling on whether she should or shouldn't talk to her mother?
You know, I'm using that as an extreme. I'm not using that as, you know, I know that for a fact. I'm just saying, we don't know what it is.
Let's take away the extreme. Let's just say, you know, Elsa's mother started to, you know, speak bad about the Jehovah's Witnesses, or let's say Elsa's mother
worshiping Satan. I don't know. I mean, there could be a lot of things. Yeah, go ahead.
What is?
Yeah.
I mean, what could have Elsa's mother possibly done so bad that she can't talk to her mom? You know, who possibly it sounds like.
Is that what this is about? You just want to know what was it about? I mean, maybe that's why they took it down. Maybe they're going to revamp it so you know exactly why she was discommunicated.
And maybe that's exactly why. That's exactly why. But David, the fact that you don't have a problem with that someone not talking to their mother, and that doesn't bother you, or that you know,
you want to know the truth?
That's interesting. You know.
You want to know the truth? Because there's been things in my life I stay away from certain family members because of. You know, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there's certain family members that aren't that great people, and you know, you kind of stay away from them because you don't want to get involved in any of their stuff, or maybe they're dangerous. I don't know.
Well, David, I have to tell you, in fact, let's let some other people come in. David I'm so glad that you could come on here, David, and at least voice your concerns. You know, you're not going to get everyone to totally agree with you because people are really thinking down deep that, you know, maybe you haven't been around these people long enough. But let's listen to what others say. I find it very fascinating. Can you hang in with us for a little bit, David?
Oh, absolutely. I love this. You have a great show.
Well, thank you. I'll
Hey,
go.
Rick,
Yeah, go ahead. Who's this?
can I speak with this Chad?
Go ahead.
David, in 1953, the Catholics dropped the shunning policy, and Jehovah's Witnesses picked the shunning policy up in 1953. Now, I was a Jehovah's Witness for 60 years, and you don't have to be disfellowship to be shunned. All you have to do is disagree with them. So if you disagree with any of their policies, like I lost all my family. I was 60 years old when I woke up. So if you can lose all your family, you lose your children, you lose everything, all your friends, everything you ever knew, and you do not have to be disfellowshipped. You do have to be baptized. But I'm just saying.
No, I understand. I totally understand, sir. Like, you know, the thing is that when this was about this video, and I would never want that for you or your family or anyone's family here. I've experienced it in another religion, or another form of it, and it's terrible. Can I ask you a question, though? If they get rid of that policy, would you become a Jehovah's Witness again?
No, I would not become a Jehovah's Witness, although I have nothing against witnesses. It's only the Watchtower that I have a problem with because it's what they're doing behind the scenes.
Right. So if they change those policies, you would never practice in their kingdom halls or anything like that ever again?
Well, no, I wouldn't, only because of what I've learned about them with their blood policy and all the people that have died from blood and all of the other things that they are against. That is my problem with them now. Is a lot of other sides besides shunning. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I'm not baptized or anything like that, and you know, I never lived that life, and again, I would never want that to happen to you or any of your family members, and I'm so sorry that you're going through that. But you know, when I ask people like these people that talk about Jehovah's Witnesses, I always ask them this, and I said, then why are you talking about it? I mean, what are you going to do? Are you trying to change something, or are you just trying to warn people? You know, I don't know.
But, well, basically, we're trying to forewarn Jehovah's Witnesses because Jehovah's Witnesses don't realize what's happening either behind the scenes. So it's not only people that have never been a Jehovah's Witness, it's Jehovah's Witnesses also that don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got a whole lot of people that want to call in here. So I hate to cut you short, but we got a lot of people who want to call in here. So we got to give them time. Okay. Thank you so much. All right, David. Okay. Well, thank you for calling in from Sacramento. But we got David. We're so glad that you're on with us. You're very smooth. You're very polite. Yeah, you're very polite. So what we've got here, we do have a lot of people like to say hello to you. Go ahead. Is this Zach? Go ahead, Zach.
Yes. I only want to comment on that video too. I think that, David, you said something about parents, they're not murderers, or we don't know if they're murderers or or she could have abused that her daughter. But I think that a thing that can happen when you look at the way the shunning is carried out, especially this woman's mother's trying to just speak to her, you try to, not you, but it's possible for a person to try to find something heinous enough that the person being shunned is guilty of. And when parents are treated that way, they're not necessarily murderers, most likely or not, and they're not necessarily people who have abused their children. I was an elder, and I will say to you that disfellowshipping and that degree of shunning can take place for something as simple, I won't say smoking a cigarette, but I will say for something as simple as smoking, not being able to break the habit. Most of the time that people get disfellowshipped, they do get disfellowshipped because they committed fornication. That one is the one that is most of the time. So when you see her not picking up to talk to her mother may not have done anything, and most likely did nothing so heinous as committing murder. Now, in the first part of that video, there's a key statement that the mother makes, and it tells you the whole story. The mother said, "I just want to hear your voice." So part of the witness disfellowshipping thing is that if you have a family member and they have certain needs, there's business stuff you have to take care of, then you can talk to them. Or they may need help. You may be the only person who can get them to the doctors and stuff like that, and it's your parent. Well, you're allowed to do that. But if it's none of that, it is total. You don't speak to that person. And they gave that clue when they had the mother say, "I just want to hear your voice."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's all.
So I have my friend, like I was telling you, he has a sister, and his sister is diagnosed with some kind of bipolar disorder or whatever, but she was baptized. The things she does, she wasn't, I don't know if you know what this is called, but she's not allowed back at the Kingdom Hall because she's disturbing them or something like that. I don't know if they would ever stop talking to this woman if they were told to. I've never seen that. I've never seen. Again, you're talking to someone who's not baptized. I was never an elder. I didn't even have. They asked me to become an unbaptized publisher at one time, and I denied it. But again, I assume, okay, when you give your life to this religion, you're also giving it to this organization. And I assume that you guys understand that. I'm assuming that they told you guys this.
And, there was a question you asked early on. You said, who do you love more, God or your parents? How did you ask that?
Yeah, I said, well, who do you love more, God or your parents? I mean, so
and so the question I would, or the statement I would make is statement, no question. Do you have to choose like that?
I don't know if God doesn't want me to. I mean, I'm
right.
assuming that if my God judges my father differently than he judges me, we're not going to be seeing each other ever again.
And in the video, the woman who would not pick up the phone when her mother called. Now, I have a statement I made around 2010, and I say they make Jehovah synonymous with the organization. And I made it because of some of the arrangements. You have, with the witnesses, they'll often say Jehovah's name when they really should say the organization's name. How can you do this to Jehovah when they're really talking about the organization? They put the two of them together like synonyms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes that's not really something that a person needs to decide whether they love their parents more or God more. You can do both. If your parents smoke, you can still love God and still talk to your parents. Does it offend God if you don't speak to your parents because the organization expelled them just because they smoke? See, that kind of decision is not a real decision that a person should have to make. That's kind of, you could say, manufactured by the organization. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm sorry, but by deciding to get baptized, that's a decision that you've made with God and yourself, correct?
Well, they don't always make those things clear when you get baptized. What happens when you're coming up to baptism? You have this excitement of coming to the meeting, and then you finally get this approval to give talks, and now you're excited about that. Then the next thing is you get all this, you get to go in field service. That's becoming a publisher, even though you're not baptized. And then the excitement of getting baptized, and that little thing about this fellowshipping may be covered very briefly. So the whole thing is about getting on the road to everlasting life so that you can survive through Armageddon. And you're not thinking about the day that you can't talk to your mother or your father because they're disfellowshipped.
Hey, I got to jump in here. We got to let some other people talk. David, once again, I'm very thankful that you're hanging in here with us. Let me just explain to the audience. You know, we've been talking tonight about the shunning videos that have been removed. We have a man. His name is David Buldo. Is that how you pronounce it, David Buldo?
Yes.
Okay, David Buldo. We have him on our program tonight. He doesn't really see this as a monumental issue, the shunning. He doesn't really see that it should really create the disturbance or the turbulence that it is. But we're glad he's on here talking about it. I know he jumped into a den here of people that do disagree with him, and be respectful for David. He's on with us, so we want to bring in some more callers here. We got a lot of people want to talk to him.
I hate to correct you again. I'm not supporting this. What I came in here asking was, you don't know what this woman did. I mean, that was the original issue. Again, I don't support anyone here being disfellowshipped or shunned by anyone they love. I don't. But I'm just saying that.
All right, but you have suggested that. Hold on.
I think she was maybe a pioneer sister, and then at the end of the day,
we're gonna mute him.
Sorry, my neighbors are having a birthday party.
Yeah, so that's okay. So what I want to
Rick?
yes.
Yeah, this is Dan. Can I make a thought?
Yes, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been just listening into some of Dave's perspectives, and I understand. He's still an outsider. He still is he's an outsider. He's still in the honeymoon phase. No, hold on. He's in the honeymoon phase, and I understand that. Everything smells good. Everything looks good. The invitation looks wonderful. We're standing up to Bible standards. But until you get screwed, you don't know it. You can say that about a sex trafficked person. You could say, oh, hey, man, they just were in the wrong place at the wrong time, man. No, they were sex trafficked. Until it happens to you, it's easy to be a sideliner. It's easy to stand on the sidelines and say, hey, man, this is religion. You signed up for it. But here's the thing. When you've been in there, we could go on and on. Hold on. We could go on and on.
You're talking to yourself. You're echoing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. But you could go on and on. We could go on and on about things that happened with girls that dated a guy outside the faith, got pregnant, tried to go talk to her mother. That's a death sentence. If you're a young girl and you can't communicate with your mother, that's a death sentence. What about when I disagreed? I never got disfellowshipped. I left on my own. But I asked him, I said, did we pass a generation prophecy? In the 70s, did we pass that? In the 80s? And they said, we're going to put you on a reproof. We're going to put you on apostate watch. And so what we are is products of the abuse of the men at the top. And I agree with you that the people are wonderful. I have family in there. I have brothers in there. I just attended a funeral.
But until you've been affected, it's easy to stand on the sideline and say, "Oh, that shouldn't be painful. Oh, that shouldn't be."
Yeah, I mean, I'll
oh,
say it again. I just
or
said
make
like,
it sound to the extreme, or make it sound the extreme.
yeah,
Oh, they all had to
again,
be murderers. Hey,
I'll
Dave,
say
hold on.
this again. I
Dave,
use.
they're not all murderers. Hey, Dave, hold on. They're not all murderers. No, nobody's murdering nobody in there. And here's the thing: everybody knows what happens with somebody. If somebody smoked a joint, the whole congregation knows. And here's the other thing, Dave. When you talk about being a Christian, right? What is the policy for returning home? The Bible says just turn around. So what happens when you go back to the elders and say, "Hey, I'm sorry."
Don't you go back to the elders? Yeah.
Guess what happens? Guess what happens? The Bible says, Jehovah says, it's as far as from the east as from the west. There's no 2 to 10 year sentence in the back of a hall being quarantined. And until you sat, and I just want to say this with my heart, until you've sat in that seat, you can't just be a sideliner and pick us apart and say, well, you guys, it's murder, it's this, it's, it's not those extremes. They're very, very.
I would have kicked it right out of the ball too. I'm going to be honest with you. I can see you going on and on forever.
Dan was a witness for 40 years, folks.
Yeah, I was a witness.
They destroyed his whole life.
Yeah,
they destroyed his family and everything else.
I'll kick you out so
They didn't
fast.
destroy me. I went on. I became successful, but I like to share in the show because I like to tell people, like Zach said, you don't know you're going to get a rock upside the head. You don't know when you're 12 years old and you're baptized and you date a girl. They could disfellowship you and your mother isn't going to talk to you while you're going through adolescence for 3-4 years. You don't know all that. You don't know if you pick up a cigarette or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, David.
So I don't understand. I don't understand why you can use extremes, but I can't use extremes. I brought up murder and rape as one of the because you asked me, and I said there could have been anything. You're using extremes. I've never heard of a parent not talking to their kid because they were smoking or something.
You haven't been there. I just want to say, Dave, you have not been there, and really,
I know someone like that. The family I grew up with.
No, you don't. You don't know nothing. You're not even baptized. I'm just saying, Dave, you haven't been baptized, and you don't know. You're a sideliner. I'm sorry. That's all I got to say. Thanks for listening.
Wow, this guy's really angry. Another one I would kick that guy out of the Kingdom Hall too. He's a real troublemaker. Yeah.
Can I speak up?
What, Dan is?
Well, let's take I gotta go in sequence here. We got a lot of people calling in. Let's go to Montreal, Canada, 514. Go ahead, you're on with us.
Hi, Rick. It's Annie.
Yes, Annie.
Hi, David. I just wanted to say one of the things, well, perhaps it has to be mentioned, I don't know, but it's whenever someone gets this fellowship, whatever the reason may be, okay, they never tell the congregation what exactly happened. They just say it's conduct unbecoming a Christian. And that starts like a rumor mill, so people can start imagining all kinds of horrible things.
So can I ask you one question? If I stood up in your Kingdom Hall or whatever and started screaming like that gentleman did before, would you allow me to be there, or would you escort me out?
Can I speak up?
Well, let Annie answer the question first. Annie, what he asked you a question. What would you do, Annie? Well, I guess Annie disappeared on us. So let's go with 920. 920. Go ahead, you're on with us.
Hi. Yeah, Annie was right. But they don't say conduct on becoming a Christian. If a person, the Watchtower says that there's absolutely no contradictions whatsoever in the Bible. All it takes is finding one contradiction and telling somebody, and you will be called before a committee and charged with apostasy. And you will be told that you cannot tell anybody what you found in the Bible at all. If you do, you will be kicked out for apostasy. All they do is then they go to the meeting. They will, if you don't listen to them, if you tell somebody, I found one contradiction. That's all it takes. They will read a letter, they will mark you. They will give a talk about you. They're not going to name you specifically so that they cannot get sued. But they will give a marking talk on you, which is what happened to me. And I was a witness for 50 years, and all of those friends that I'd had, all of those years dropped me like a hot potato. They were my best friends all those years. Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to have friends outside that religion. So they dropped me, all of those friends that were friends of mine for 50 years, even relatives. All it takes is one thing that you disagree with. I found out that they joined the United Nations, and I told them that. They gave, like I said, they gave a mark and talk on me because they tell you you cannot tell anyone. If you tell anyone, they'll kick you out for apostasy. And what they do is they just say so-and-so is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. The congregation has understood that they are disfellowshipped. That's all it takes. They'll come to you and they'll say, do you want to go in service anymore? Do you think the Watchtower is God's organization? And if you say no, they will ask you, do you want to be a witness anymore? And if you say no, because I don't agree with that, you are now automatically disfellowshipped, which means they cannot talk to you. They can't ask you what you did. I mean, it's possible she did absolutely nothing except that she decided she didn't want to be a witness anymore. And that's what they did. They would say to her, do you want to be a witness anymore? And she says, no, I can't teach that. Okay, they go to the congregation, read that off, that so-and-so is no longer a witness. She could have done something, she could have done something, or she could have just left. And that's what they do to a person. But you don't know that until it happens to you, like it happened to me after 50 years.
Well,
that's what they do.
Well, sorry to hear that. Well, David, see, what you're listening here to tonight, now let me just reiterate, you're listening to people that have been involved in this organization for many years. I mean, I'm not talking a few years. I'm talking this woman 50 years. And, she's just fellowshipped. I mean, it's a sad thing. And, we really don't know what people are disfellowship for. Years ago, they used to say. But, I mean, are you seeing the message coming through here, David? Are you seeing that it's kind of an unfair practice?
See, Rich, I'm not disfellowshipped. I'm not going to disassociate myself. And so my kids can still talk to me, but they're not allowed to talk about the Bible, and I'm not allowed to tell them why I'm not going. Well, and I can still talk to them because I don't disassociate myself.
All right. Well, that's good. You're in a better position than most. But David, I mean, you're listening to real people here tonight. These are not fictitious people in some imaginary world. These are real.
I believe it. I believe it. It's fascinating. And, again, I'm not discrediting anyone. I'm just saying, like, I really believe that there are some things that people do that are definitely. I mean, you really believe that all people that are disfellowshipped are disfellowshipped wrongly, or do you think there's a few of them that are disfellowshipped?
Well, I would say disfellowship wrongly. Hold on one second, everybody. Let me talk to the man. I would say disfellowship wrongly, David. In the Christian world, if you have done an offense, whatever it would be, watching pornography, immorality, smoking a cigarette, whatever it would be, stealing something perhaps, and you go to the Christian congregation, you talk to the pastor, and they're going to help you. They're going to help you get over that hump. But in the Jehovah's Witness world, if you just even go in and confess your sin, gee, I smoked a cigarette, or gee, I touched someone inappropriately, you could be disfellowshipped in a heartbeat. That's the difference. And the lives that are being ruined, David, are unbelievable. We have so many callers. In fact, let's go with, we got Linda James. Linda James, come on in. What do you have to say?
Hi, this is Linda. Hello, David. I'm so glad you called. I can really hear in your voice and in your heart that you're really trying to get this. And what you're talking about is very healthy. If we have somebody in our family that is doing criminal activities, the stuff you brought up, that's called us doing where we are cutting them off, or no contact. That's a protection of ourselves. What happens within the organization, and I want you to picture in the mind of a member, their belief system is once they're disfellowshipped, Jehovah God doesn't have a relationship with them anymore, and that they are dead in the eyes of God. So then when the congregation shuns them and doesn't speak to them, it's as though they are a ghost walking around in existence and dead. So we don't have any members. I mean, we don't associate with anybody outside of the congregation because they're bad associations. They're all under the influence of the devil. So between those in the congregation and those on the outside, there really is no place else to go. And that's what gives them that place of no hope. They're disappointed in themselves that they've disappointed God, you know. And there are many.
I'm not discrediting anyone's feelings toward this, but I guess my question is, if you would never rejoin that organization, all right, why don't you just move on to a new one? And I mean, it's your family's choice.
That's a good choice. That's a good question. And if it wasn't because of the undue influence that's used to deceive members to join, for instance, if you did get baptized, you would be actually making a verbal contract with the organization. Did you know that?
Yeah, when you're baptized, that's what they explained to me. They actually, there was a couple children that wanted to get baptized, and they talked them out of it.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
You're making a commitment to that organization, so you're held accountable by the organization.
Yeah.
And then there's the relationship you're trying to have with God. But in actuality, this organization takes the place of the mediator between God and man. And that's
I was assuming that you were working for this like government and God, right? Like there's this government and God, and everybody was trying to work for it, just like how they're working for the organization on planet Earth. Now you are representing God through representing that organization.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
and
that's what they thought. Yeah.
Exactly. And I grew up in this, and I remember being a little kid and thinking that, I'm a representative of Jehovah, so my behavior had to be very good, which isn't a bad thing. But what you end up finding out after you are baptized is that you're held accountable to rules that are unattainable. I agree. If you're part of a group, a team or anything, and you break the rules, you get kicked out, that happens. But if you're getting set up in such a way that unattainable standards and unattainable rules keep you out of a relationship with God, and you then become disfellowshipped. And what's understood is that when someone does become disfellowshipped, they were unrepentant, meaning they didn't take the advice of the elders at the time, and they were truly like defiant. And for whatever rule it was, the congregation thinks that they were defiant and wants to continue in their sins. That's how the congregation looks at them. Well, of course they need to be reprimanded.
So you're telling me that the person that's disfellowshipped, they never know the reason why they were, or?
No, disfellowship members do know why they got disfellowship, but the rest of the congregation is not informed. Now, the guy that talked earlier, Dan, said that the congregation knows that's through rumors and may in fact be the case, but the other lady you talked to spoke of a marking talk where they don't say the name, but they talk about the subject of why somebody could, to teach against some certain things. So
do you mind me asking why you were disfellowshipped?
You know what? I actually never got baptized because I couldn't make sense of it. So I became an unbaptized publisher, but I never became baptized. But I grew up in it, and it is my culture of origin. And when I think of people the reason why I do this is because people that are involved in this organization do not get to follow their pursuit, like they don't get to pursue self-interest. Everything needs to be put on hold, and they put the organization and the work of the organization as a priority, which is okay, but it's a priority over everything. It takes so much loyalty to the organization, you end up not having anything else much in your life. And then what it ends up doing is taking the place of your family. It tears apart the family if you have anybody outside of this organization. You don't talk to them much anymore, and it replaces your family. Now, in that little skit that we heard, she was looking at this and thinking, Abel was a spiritual orphan. A year or two ago, they had like little dramas about fatherless children. So anybody who was a Jehovah's Witness and then is not is considered no longer your spiritual father or your spiritual family of any sort, and you can't talk to them. It's actually, this organization is more like the Catholic Church than people realize. It's almost like a mini Catholic Church on steroids.
So can I ask you a question though? So you're Christian though, right? You believe in Christ, you believe in the Word of Christ, you believe all that, correct?
Not anymore, but I was for 30 years, yes, and I do love theology, sure. And I value my Christian friends, yes.
But you're not Christian, so you don't believe in Christianity?
Not anymore, no. But I do value people that do have that belief system, and I respect it very much.
No, that's what I want to know, because the other thing is, like, I just wonder, like, these Christians, like, don't they know that Jesus would never want you to be around a family member that wasn't into Jesus? I mean, or talking or against Jesus. Jesus told his disciples to go out and tell everybody about him and all this stuff, right? And he also told people that hey, listen, your parents don't know everything. God does. I'm the ambassador of God. I'll let you know that. It sucks to hear, I know, but like, if you're a Christian, you should understand this.
And I do understand what you're talking about. Yes, I do. The governing
But
body.
you don't live it. That's what I'm saying. So, if someone's a Christian,
after I left the organization, and I understand that.
yeah, but you're not a Christian, so you don't live the Christian lifestyle.
Not today, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So of course you wouldn't understand it or think it was crazy.
Well, I wanted to jump in here, David. I want to jump in here, David. We have so many people who want to talk to you, but I'm going to let one more person talk, and then we're going to conclude. We're going to let one more person talk. Let's go with 661. Go ahead. You're on with us.
Hello, David.
Yeah, Pete.
Hi, David.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you for calling in tonight. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yes, of course.
Hi, Rick. Hi, David. This is JP. Thanks for calling in tonight. It's not very often that somebody who's studying with witnesses calls in. But you were saying earlier that you live, you're from like up there in Warwick. I had a few questions. How long have you been studying with the witnesses, and how did you come into contact with them? Did they come to your door, or did you meet them at a car? And what compelled you to start studying with them? What was it what message did they say that started compelling you? So maybe you could start with how you met them first.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I've been studying on and off for about 4 years, and I knew a friend. I had a friend. I mean, I'm still friends with him, but we used to party together, this guy, and his family was Jehovah's Witnesses and all this stuff. They were great people, and they never really got into it with me. He wasn't baptized yet, and we would sit there and get drunk and argue about the Bible and stuff like this. And one day I started thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, you know what? All this stuff that I grew up with, the Christmas trees, all this stuff, it was the argument that we had about Christmas. And that's what got me interested in it. And I started studying, and I was like, yeah, this makes more sense than it did before. How you go to a Catholic church, half of it's in Latin, you don't even know what they're saying. People are putting Christmas trees in their house. What does that do? Christianity, blah blah blah. That's what kind of made sense to me, and that's when I started studying with them. Was that too long?
No, that was the only question I was wondering. Cause How did you? How long have you been listening to Rick's show? And when did you start listening to? Oh, really? Well, welcome.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I do YouTube. All right. I do stuff with the guys from Howard Stern, like Wendy the Retard and all those guys. They're doing YouTube now, and I have a YouTube channel. I kind of do it on religion, politics, stuff like that, and I'm fascinated with this conversation. This is a great show, absolutely amazing show.
What's the name of your channel?
Leather King.
Leather King.
Again, yeah, and again, I don't expect anyone here to go there and see it, but you know, it has to do with like the ex-Whack Packers from Howard Stern show.
Sure. Well, thanks for calling in tonight. I appreciate you taking people's questions and stuff. But,
yes, great. I don't really get to talk to people who have been in as a witness baptized and who left the church or who might have gotten kicked out. This is fascinating to me. I again, thank you very much for talking to me. I'm blown away by the show.
Well, David.
You want to hear a funny thing? Hey, Rick.
Yes.
You want? This is Carrie Kay. Do you want to hear a funny thing?
Yeah, go ahead, Carrie.
It was the Howard Stern. Yeah, it was the Howard Stern show. When I was waking up. Freedom.
Go ahead, Carrie. Okay,
funny
you kind of broke up a little bit, Carrie. Tell us again about the Howard Stern show.
Oh. When I woke up from Jehovah's Witnesses, I used to listen to the Howard Stern show, and it was Howard Stern that actually gave me a little bit of strength to be free. So I'm listening in, and he made me laugh, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, that was great.
That's just my,
he's a big time.
Yes. Okay. He's a very funny man. Very funny.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. We've got 513. Go ahead, 513. Want to hear from you, King of Dots.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm completely sober tonight, Rick. I just want to guarantee you. First of all, as an ex-Catholic, and my parents are almost 90, they go to church. The church is in English. It's not in Latin, sir. So I don't know why you said that.
Because I'm Italian, so everybody here.
I want to ask you.
I'm in Jersey, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
When did this fellowshipping start, Rick? What year did it start?
1947.
1947. Okay. And as you recall, and I think you mentioned earlier, while they were getting the bugs out of it, they used to actually tell what the person was disfellowship for from the platform. Recall that?
Yeah, he stated that like 20 times.
Things of that sort. And I wanted to talk about that video because that was a clear threat, in my opinion, to all the murmurers out there going to a convention. You better be patient, is how I looked at that. So they're basically telling you that we're going to get rid of anybody who doesn't stick with it and believe all the gobbledygook that's coming out of there. So what did you want to say to me, King of the Leather? I was very gratified to hear you picking up on my name.
You can call me David. You can call me David, sir. How about that?
Oh, by the way, I like the fact you wanted to get rid of, what's his name? He was too loud. What was his name?
Loudmouth. I think his name is Loudmouth. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Mr. Loudmouth. You studied for 4 years, correct? I've studied with almost...
Again, yeah, I've studied for 4 years.
I've studied with almost...
You can go ahead. Discredit me. You're the best studier. Go ahead.
50 people from 1977 to 2002, and none of them had ever studied with me over a year. And not only that, I baptized at least 10 of them, me and my wife. 3 of them are still in the organization. 2 of them
you can contact Dan Rice from up in Warwick. Contact Dan Rice and ask him if he knows David Bulldog.
The organization is allowed to study with someone for 4 years. They will discourage that continuously.
Okay.
So you haven't been studying with them for 4 years. Not unless you
go ahead. Go ahead. Call Bethel. Ask them. David Joseph Bulldog. In Washington Township, New Jersey, 07676. Go ahead.
There's nothing that adds up to about your story.
Okay.
That's what I want to say.
All right. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. The name of the host, I don't really know your name.
Rick Farron. Rick Farron. Yep.
Rick.
Yeah.
Sir, do you know Dan Rice?
I don't know him. No.
Am I still on?
So yeah, you're still on King of Dots, but you know,
Did I get pushed to the side because you didn't like what I was saying? Or am I
you're just coming in here being extremely rude, but
I'm not being rude. I'm being truthful. You're discrediting me.
You're discrediting me.
We've been there. I've been to Catholic funerals recently. It's all done.
You're getting mad at me because I told you I studied for 4 years on and off.
No, you're a witness.
This guy's starting an argument here.
Okay. We don't want to get into. Well, what's happening?
Kingdom Hall that I used to go to was in Park Ridge, New Jersey.
I thought you said Warwick.
I know. I've been there. That's where Bethel is.
You said that you were studying at Warwick or in Warwick.
Yeah, with the brothers from Warwick. Yeah.
Do you know what county Warwick is in?
Yeah, New York.
No.
It's in Orangeburg.
No, it's
dude. I live right there.
Orange County. You
yeah,
said you were
Orangeburg. It's Orangeburg. It's not Orange County. It's Orangeburg.
You just know it's Orange County. It's not
Orangeburg, New York, sir.
It's Orange County, though.
Okay.
That's the county that work is in.
Oh yeah. Well, what are you trying to discredit me?
Absolutely.
Rick, okay. Again, my name is David. Though.
Yeah.
You can call Park Ridge.
150,000.
Yeah, David. This is Rick here, the moderator. But what I'm finding here is many people now. You hang in here with us now, but there's many beginning to really think that you might be a Watchtower operative.
Everybody does.
Guys, no.
You know,
you can look
I mean,
I do a comedy show on YouTube. There's no way they would allow me to be a
well, hold on. I mean,
let me ask you this. You mentioned a person. The last name was Rice. What was their full name?
Dan Rice.
Is he a Bethelite? Are you saying?
Yes.
Has he been there for long?
Since I've been there, 4 years. 5 years, maybe.
You're a Bethelite now?
No, I'm not a Bethelite. I'm not baptized.
No,
I study with these people.
What I'm asking is this Rice person? Is he a Bethelite? Does he live at Bethel?
Yes.
Okay, which Bethel is he at? Is he at the one?
No, that's not my point. That's not my point.
Okay, go ahead. Carry on, buddy.
I don't know. Listen, guys, if you think I'm really
the reason why I'm asking, I hear you.
I'm not stumbling you from the truth, dude.
I hear you asking that. Sir. I hear you asking that name, and I do recognize the name Rice.
Yeah,
but
Dan Rice.
But the first name is wrong.
Name was like Susan or something like that.
About what age are they?
They got to be in their 70s. Dan's got pure white hair. He wears glasses. I'm sure you can find,
They're both in their 70s, huh? Yeah. So the first name is wrong, and
okay.
I don't want to discredit you. Everything I said earlier was sincere, but now one wonders. I hear wrong.
Am I off by? Am I been calling this guy Dan the whole time?
You're off 100% on almost everything you said.
Okay, I'm gonna mute. All right, I'm gonna mute.
You're gonna have to start from the beginning.
You guys want to show? You guys want me to show you the book that I've been studying for 4.5 years?
Yeah, what book is it? I'd be interested, David.
They just got a new one. So, because I went back there a few weeks ago and started studying again. Let me go get it. I got to go inside the house.
That would be easy to show. Come on.
Well, I don't know. What do you want me to prove to you?
Working for Watchtower, of course you've got a book.
And all you've done
is stand up for
Watchtower.
You're trolling.
Vehemently. But it's good entertainment. You know, I've been very well entertained by you.
Hey, Rick and David, this is Eric. Is it possible for me to just say thank you, David, for calling us? And I don't want to bust your beans. You know, some people like Dan that got upset. We're so hurt. We're so hurt from this organization. We don't mean. Some of us become so passionate over it. I'm guilty of it myself. I sometimes at the cart, when I crash the carts and I talk to the people and challenge their belief systems, they tick me off, and my anger comes out a little bit, maybe when it shouldn't. But just to say that, you know, my wife and I, we tried to come back. I had she had 5 reinstatement letters. I had 4. And a lot of us, the problem is that it's kind of like the abortion thing, argument. They say, well, we should have abortion because of the rapes, but the percentage of rapes is very low. And what I'm trying to say is, and I'm not trying to bring up abortion, whether it's good or bad, but what I'm trying to say is the argument is weak. The argument is weak with Watchtower of why we should publicly shun. And the reason why is because you're shunning innocent people. Like, I'm sorry, but cigarette smokers and marijuana smokers are not evil people. You know, I even know people who, like, I worked with a woman, a manager of mine, whose daughter committed murder, and she would show up to all her trials, and when she got convicted, she showed up to her. That's love, you know? And I didn't commit murder. You know, my wife didn't commit murder. All she did was hang out with another disfellowship person. And all we're trying to do is just show you that it's unbalanced, and it's an excuse to dominate us and to make us not like want to leave Watchtower. But we don't mean to get upset at you or make you feel like that. There's just so many of us that are hurt so bad. Like I was recently in the hospital, and I would pick up the phone call, you know, even though I had internal bleeding and I was in bad shape. It's hurt. It's bad. And one of the reasons why I couldn't get reinstated was because they weren't reinstating anymore during COVID. And I told them that through a text message that I was pissed over it. And because of the word pissed, they said that I was abusive speech, and they labeled me as an abusive speech person. And I didn't even, it's not even a cuss word. And I feel like I had the right to be pissed. Like, they were still disfellowshipping, but they won't reinstate during COVID because they weren't going to the Kingdom Halls. To me, it's a judgmental organization, and my parents judge me harshly, and my wife's parents judge her harshly. And we don't mean to snap at you or get angry like that. And the problem is that we're just all so damaged from it, and it really has hurt people. It's very judgmental, and it's not what Jesus would do. And we really do. I mean, I'm not allowed to ever return. My wife made it as far as getting reinstated, and she something happened to where she was told that she couldn't tell anybody, not even her family, that she was getting reinstated until the announcement from the Kingdom Halls, plural, because we moved. And then
I'm really sorry to hear that. Again.
Oh, it's okay, man. I'm just letting you know that this is why some people maybe are becoming like so passionate or angry at you, and it's just so much damage. Long story short, she wasn't allowed to get reinstated because her mother had contacted her, and my wife had freaked out thinking, well, she doesn't know I'm getting reinstated, and she thought someone died, because that's the only time that we receive a message is someone died in the family. And
I would also like to give a big shout out to one Bethelite that was the best one, Patrick Fitzpatrick. He's got to be like around late 50s, 60s, early 60s. Curly Irish, dark hair, extremely masculine chin. The guy's a great guy. He wears glasses. Yeah, Patrick Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, we're not saying there ain't good people in Jehovah's organization, but like we were kept out, and we were trying to do the right thing, you know. And we're not bad people. And there's too many cases of innocent people being treated in the most harsh way. That's all I gotta say, brother. But thank you so much for calling in. It was really good to hear from you.
Hello, Rick.
Hold on one second. We're going to take 2 more callers, and then we're going to have to cut this short. Oh, let's go with 304. Go ahead, 304.
Hi, Rick. This is Kurt. Man, this is a good conversation. I hesitate even to speak up. Now, you're about out of time. This was so interesting, and I've been waiting for a long time to speak up. I don't want to. Yeah. I did want to say something. Disfellowshipping and shunning has been discussed on Six Screens. I consider myself a member of the Six Screens family, and it's been discussed. And man, this is such a good conversation. You've heard me talk about it some before, and out of necessity, the cart is put before the horse. What I mean by that is the Watchtower's practice of disfellowshipping and shunning is quite harsh. But the beginning of the conversation should be, or could be, discussing what the Bible says. And I won't get into a big Bible speech, but I want to say this. Very kindly, I challenge anybody on earth that's a Christian to open the Bible and prove to me that disfellowshipping and shunning is not scriptural. I challenge anybody. Now, I'll say one other thing. I can go back, and you can go back to Exodus chapter 12, and in the Old Testament, you will find record, you will find at least 25 places where a person that broke the rules was cut off from the congregation of Israel. And in most cases, I think they were stoned. In the New Testament, this practice was carried forward, except no, they didn't stone anybody except the Jews stoned Stephen, and Jesus told the people to cast the first stone. Jesus taught a different practice of shunning. In Matthew 18. Get to the point. In Matthew 18. Who said get to the point?
I'm saying get to the point.
Brother Rick.
I didn't say it. Rick. Go ahead, Kurt. Go ahead and get to the point.
Okay, the point is in the scriptures, disfellowshipping and shunning is a practice. Thank you.
Okay, well, there you have. I mean, well, David, you got a person on your side. Evidently,
Rick, this is an amazing show, Rick. You got to let me come back. You got to, please.
All right.
Well, hey, Rick, I got to ask David a question. I got to ask David a question.
Hold on one second, Phil. We'll bring you right on, Gilbert. We'll bring you back, David. You want to come back in a week or two with us, or what?
Absolutely. This is like my new favorite show. This show's amazing. You're doing a great job. You have everything laid out perfectly. You don't normally see this, and I'm glad you exist, and I'm glad everyone's here and having this discussion. It's amazing.
Well, we're having a good time. We're having a real good time. We have a lot of people listening from all over the world, David. Okay, so go ahead. We've got Phoenix, Arizona. Gilbert, I believe that's you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Hey, just real quick. No, hold on. It's my turn. Listen, I'm just going to question David. Because Jesus said, Matthew 7:1, stop judging. I'm not judging anyone. Jesus said, treat other people the way you want to be treated. He also said, with the measuring stick that you measure, you'll be judged. So I'm not going to be doing that because I don't believe in shunning. But here's the thing, David, a lot of people in the chat are saying you're Jehovah's Witness pawn. You're an insider. Now, I'm GG for GB, and I'm going to tell you, I know how to test Jehovah's Witnesses. Because everybody, no, listen. Because you knocked on Linda James and you were questioning her faith in Christianity, so you profess faith in Christianity. I have yet to meet a Jehovah's Witness who could utter the words, I love Jesus and he's my personal Lord and Savior. So go ahead, David. David, tell everybody in your words that you love Jesus
I love Jesus. He's my personal Lord and Savior.
Okay, guys.
Good night,
I don't
David.
think he's a Jehovah's Witness. I don't think he's a Jehovah's Witness.
I'm telling you, I don't listen. There's one thing I came in here not doing, and that was lying. Okay, I normally do that for my show. I do a skit comedy show, and I watch live streams all the time. I promise you guys, I came in here not lying. I just find this really interesting and fascinating, and I really, really like this show. So, I'm sorry if I came across that way. I didn't know that there was like all this stuff where people actually get hunted down by Jehovah's Witnesses, but I'll look into it. I'll ask them. How about this? Next time I go to the study, I'll ask them about this, and I'll get the answers from them, and I'll come back next week and we could talk about it, or maybe something else.
Yeah, you won't get the answers from them, David. I'm sorry. You won't get the answers from them. Hey, I'll tell you something, David. I listened to you all the last hour here, okay? And we got, just to make it simple, if you're studying with the Jehovah's Witness, you're studying into the organization. You're taking on all those things. But the thing is,
I see that.
Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. But Jesus didn't call you to an organization, David. He called you unto himself. And so I think it's your choice. If you want to go with the organization, go ahead. But if you want to study about Jesus and a true Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior,
I'll tell you something right now. The way they make it is very convenient. All right, they would come to my house and we would study. I got to ask them any question. Their thought process is, in my opinion, is absolutely amazing. All right, it's the first time in my life that I've ever been actually drawn to God in a way where I want to know about him. And that says a lot, because you got to understand who I am and where I come from. And I don't know if you want to know that, but like I said, this is an amazing experience for me right now in my life. And talking to you guys is as equally as amazing. And I hope the best for everybody here. And I would definitely 100% love to come back here next week.
Well, you're gonna come.
you had me on your show.
Well, we're gonna
come over anytime at Leather King and come up. I have open channels. Anyone's allowed up. Just don't porn bomb me.
All right. Well, we're gonna get you back on, David, with us. We do have another program coming up, but David, I really appreciate your calm, collective way. I like the way that you answer some of the callers. You don't really react. You respond. I think that's a wonderful characteristic. And thank you for being as gentle as you have been. Now, you're going to come back on again. Maybe we could even, next week. Can you do that?
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm coming up right now, and I'd be honored to come back. This is the greatest show ever. I'm telling you. I don't know why you don't have 1 million subscribers. This is awesome.
Well, it's getting better all the time. Go ahead. One more caller. What did you want to say? Is it Deborah? I'm not sure.
This is Deborah. Hi, Rick.
Hi.
Hi, David.
Hi, Deborah. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm calling from Connecticut. I've been listening, and I just have one question for you. You answered a question for GB about Jesus being your Lord and Savior and your Redeemer. Okay. Do you realize that being a Jehovah's Witness, that Jesus is not your mediator?
Well, I according to what I've read, all right, he was sent here on behalf of somebody or something, a creator. That's If I'm wrong, I would love for someone to tell me why I'm wrong or what I read was wrong. The thing is, this is another thing you guys don't know about me, and if you watch my show, you'll know. I'm a very I struggle with dyslexia, and for me to read something and understand, this is why I've been studying with these people for 4 years on and off. The comprehension and reading is very difficult, and they help out a lot.
Today, that's odd, because if you're not ready to make a commitment within 6 to 8 months, then they'll drop you like a pancake. But I understand where you're coming from. But
and here's the thing. The other thing is that I've gone back. Like I left for a while and got back, but I never had them tell me. What's up?
No, but my question is, do you realize, I didn't hear you if you answered, do you realize that if you do become a Jehovah's Witness, and they're not going to tell you outright until you investigate through the Watchtowers in the past, do you know that, no, do you believe that Jesus is your mediator, your personal mediator between you
I
and
know. I don't believe I have to go through Jesus to get to God.
All right, what we're gonna do, we're gonna end it up here. We got another program coming up, so I really do appreciate everyone calling in, but we have Joe and Fran that have been waiting in the background here. So what we're gonna do, David. Well, thank you, Debbie. Yeah, I hate to wrap it up here, but we're on a hard break here. We got to really get things moving. So we're going to end the program here. But David, thank you very much. Hope to hear from you next week. Why don't you come in somewhere around 9:15, 8:45 next week, and let's see if we can help David to not want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, that's what I'm getting from this call. We're going to try to help you, David. We're going to try to help you.
This is amazing.
All right.
This is amazing.
We're going to try to help you.
Rick, you got my number, right?
I got your number, and
Feel free to reach out anytime you want.
Thank you very much, Dave. I really, really do appreciate it. So we're going to have to end the program here. Now, listen, if you like the program, why don't you, we're on a number of different platforms tonight. We're on Facebook. Why don't you share the video? Why don't you like the video on YouTube? Why don't you subscribe? And we can get more and more people to listen in to what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. There'll be no 6-screen Sunday tomorrow. That's every other Sunday. But we want to thank all the people that called in tonight. And sorry we couldn't get to you all. I just couldn't believe the amount of people that wanted to call in tonight. But thank everyone for doing that. Well, we're going to end the broadcast right now. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Let's end the program here. We're going to the outside story with Fran and Joe. Thank you very much. All right, ending the broadcast. Boy,